So the Everett Elks are back once again, but this team's different from the last time you saw them. Yeah, it's full of 0 overall players, except for one player. Everyone on this team is a 0 overall except for one. The forward core sucks, the defensive core sucks, but when it comes to in between the pipes, we have Ricky Lafleur. Now Ricky Lafleur, he's a special player. This guy is a 0 overall in every single attribute category except for two. Stick high and stick low. He is great blocker side because one time he stopped the great Peter Forsberg. Ricky Lafleur was one of the greats back in his day. But that's not the only difference with the Everett Elks. We're actually in a new division because in honor of Ricky Lafleur and him joining the team here, we have to head over to the East Coast, and this time around the Everett Elks are going to be playing in the Atlantic Division. But we also have another special surprise to the team. Since Ricky Lafleur stopped the great Peter Forsberg, I am making a stick on the ice executive decision, and Peter Forsberg is going to be the first player selected to the team. Now you might be thinking, well, stick on the ice, that's pretty unfair, adding a legend such as Peter Forsberg. Well, that's what we're doing today. NHL legends until the Everett Elks win a Stanley Cup. We're going to be adding a ton of Hall of Famers to this team, and the first one brought to the team, Peter Forsberg. So when it comes to removing a team from the Atlantic Division, it's going to be the Montreal Canadiens. They're the lowest overall team in the Eastern Conference, so I think it only makes sense to remove the lowest overall team and not a team like the New York Rangers who are a 94 overall. That just doesn't seem fair. So Montreal, it looks like you're going to be disappearing, and the Everett Elks are taking your place, sitting at a 0 overall. What could possibly go wrong for this franchise? So with the combination of the great goaltender in Ricky Lafleur and Peter Forsberg, an absolute legend, are we going to be able to win 82 games this season? Because if you have these two guys on your team, you're destined for success. I don't care if there's 0 overalls here, this team's going to find a way to win. So while I simulate the season and we win every single game, are you part of the 69% people that aren't subbed to the channel? If you are, you should subscribe right now. We're trying to hit 65k by the end of the month. So this team was on a hot streak until we lost these 4 games right here. Definitely didn't lose every single game of the season, but unfortunately the game's going to freeze here because we just had too good of a record. The game couldn't comprehend it. So unfortunately we're not going to be able to finish this season. We're just going to have to spin the wheel and add a new player to the team. Yeah, like our team really won 50 plus games to start the year, then we lost 4 in a row and the game didn't know what to do. It looks like the first alumni player that we're going to be selecting is coming from the Dallas Stars. And since I've learned from my mistakes and we don't want to see repeats here, the Dallas Stars are now going to be removed from the wheel. We're not dealing with any of this repeat nonsense. But it's not just going to be as simple as selecting from the Dallas Stars. Now we have to spin the wheel of positions to see what position we're going to be selecting. A goaltender is definitely a great way to start. Ricky Lafleur, I guess you're moving to the backup. Now the one thing that's going to make this video incredibly easy is every single player we're adding to the team was a star. So Ed Belfour, you're going to be our starting goaltender from now on. A 90 overall, that's a great way to start this video. We got a superstar goaltender. We're going to win some games early on. Now the real question about a season like this is our coach going to be cooking when it comes to our backup goaltender? I better see Ricky Lafleur as the backup. What are we doing here? What are we really doing here? Ricky Lafleur isn't the backup. This Jordan NHL right here is a 36 in every single attribute category. At least Ricky Lafleur, when it came to his stick side, was unbeatable, the greatest in the game. Jordan NHL, buddy can't do nothing. So the fact that the coach wants to scratch Ricky Lafleur, I can't believe he's willing to do that. Also, I feel like this is a great time to mention that Puck Drop is back. It's my second channel that I upload on once in a while. But you know what? I'm going to start being a lot more consistent. I finally figured out what I want to do with that channel. So tons of videos are coming soon. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to that channel. Link is down below. Now, surprisingly, we're actually getting through the entire season in year number 2 here. And the reason for that, great goaltending. We're going to ignore the fact that we didn't record a single goal the entire season. But the defense was a lot better. I shouldn't say defense. The goaltending was fantastic. 631 goals allowed. How many did Ed Belfour allow? Because I mean, we know for a fact Peter Forsberg wasn't cooking up here. Did he even take any shots this season? Nope. Only one shot was taken this season, and it was by a Joe NHL. Ain't no way Joe NHL is out shooting Peter Forsberg. I know it's Jordan NHL, but these are Joe NHLs in my heart. When it comes to goaltending numbers, Ed Belfour, a 907 and a 591. Honestly, this is actually pretty good considering what the team looked like. But the real thing I'm surprised about is the fact that we actually got through season number 2 here. The Vancouver Canucks are going to take down the Tampa Bay Lightning in a sweep, but now that season number 2 is complete, it's time to bring another legend to the team. So who's going to be the next legend added to this team here? Ideally, we land on the LA Kings or something and add Wayne Gretzky to the team, but we're off to the Florida Panthers. I'm assuming they have a pretty weak alumni. So, I mean, best case scenario is we land on defenseman and we add Jay Bouwmeester, but I guess we're going to be adding the best forward. Is Yager technically on their alumni team? I know he played there for a little bit, but I don't think he's on their alumni. Now, the Florida Panthers got some great options. Roberto Luongo, Jay Bouwmeester, but we're not picking up either of those guys. We're going to be adding Joe Nieuwendyk to the team. 88 overall. He's got an X factor. He's going to be a fantastic piece to the team. Him and Peter Forsberg together, they're definitely going to be recording some points this season. So Joe Nieuwendyk, Peter Forsberg, two fantastic pieces for the top 6 here. I mean, by the end, you never know. Joe Nieuwendyk, he might become a bottom 6 piece for us. If we continue to add elite players, you never know where he's going to be playing. By this forward core, we're off to a great start. So this season didn't take long whatsoever. We didn't even get through a single game. So let's spin the wheel. Like, you make it through season number 2 with no crashes and you think everything's going your way, and then something like that happens. We're off to the LA Kings next. We have a very, very good chance at adding Wayne Gretzky. All we have to do is land on the forward position here, and Wayne Gretzky's going to be joining the team. Ain't no way you just did that to me. So I guess we're bringing our first defenseman onto the team, and unfortunately his name is not Wayne Gretzky. So unfortunately Wayne Gretzky's not a defenseman, so we're not going to be able to select him. But Larry Robinson, this isn't a bad selection at all, but I would have preferred 97 overall Wayne Gretzky. No question about that. Like, the great one, yeah, I'll take him any day of the week. So I'm pretty sure when it comes to the alumni teams, they just have it so all defensemen can play both sides, left or right. But in this example, Larry Robinson, although you can be a left or right defenseman, you're actually going to be a right winger. What could go wrong there? Okay, so at this point, I'm actually starting to wonder if we're ever going to get through this video. We've crashed back-to-back seasons now, and it's frozen one of them. We have made it through 1 year so far. This probably shouldn't happen as frequently as it does. Well, no wasting time. If the game crashes, that counts as the entire season being up here. So we're going to spin this wheel again and see what it gives us. It looks like it's going to be the Ottawa Senators. There's some pretty good options from Ottawa. So Ottawa, what are you going to be producing for us? A forward would be great, but you know what? I guess I can take a defenseman. You got some decent players there. So when it comes to the Ottawa Senators alumni, one guy that comes to mind is Daniel Alfredsson. Zdeno Chara. Okay, I will definitely take that. I wasn't too sure if he was going to be on their alumni, but I guess he is. Granted, he did play a lot of years with this team. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, we should throw a lot in quotation marks here because he was only there for technically 4 seasons, so it wasn't a lot, but you know what? It was a decent amount of time. It would have been longer if they didn't have the lockout, because then he would have been there 5 years, but you know what? 4 is good enough to be a part of the alumni. Now I'm all for nonsense, especially when it comes to early on in the video, but I am not going to have a forward play on the second line when we have a defenseman on the first line instead. That doesn't sit right with me. Larry Robinson, you can play some first line minutes, but Joe, you're also playing some first line minutes as well. When it comes to the defense, Zdeno Chara, you're going to be all by yourself. Now all I ask is we can actually get through this season here. If we crash 3 times in a row, then I'm gonna have some issues with this game. Now at this point, it's beyond ridiculous. We have added 5 players to the team and we've gotten through 1 season. This is an actual joke. And some of these games we actually could have won. We only lost 2-0 to Colorado, 2-0 to Philly, 3-0 to the Oilers. We can score goals, but defensively, we have actually been very good. Now, all I ask is we get through 1 season. I just want to get through 1 season without this game crashing. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they got some talent there. So one thing I want to see in NHL 25, get rid of alumni teams, make all-time teams. That would be way better because then you would have Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all those guys on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl would be on the Oilers. Just make all-time teams instead of alumni because that would make a lot of rosters way better. But that's just my opinion. I would just like to see all-time teams over alumni. So I know for a fact that the Pittsburgh Penguins alumni are going to have some great forwards we can select from. Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Ron Francis, but this doesn't have to be decided. But this is going to be an incredibly easy selection for us. Mario Lemieux, welcome to the team. Also, my camera battery died, so yeah, no face cam for a little bit. So we officially have 1 line that we can run here. We have a full forward line, we have 1 defensive pairing, and we have a great goaltender in Ed Belfour. Ricky Lafleur has been called up. It's a 10-win season. He's going to pick up at least 8 wins himself. This team's about to see so much success you won't even be able to comprehend it. So this team definitely saw success this season. A 477-1 record. We shut out the Columbus Blue Jackets. Ain't no way that happened. Not only are we winning games, we're completing shutouts here. We also beat the Anaheim Ducks, not much of a surprise there. Anaheim's not looking good for you. So November, December, and January, no wins for us, but we did beat the Vegas Golden Knights in October, and we also beat the Washington Capitals. So 2 wins in the first 10 games of the season. Not too bad for the Everett Elks. Okay, these scoring numbers I can't even comprehend. Mario Lemieux, 75 points. Peter Forsberg, 71. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense right here. I know we had 5 good players and we could put out a solid lineup, but even still, we have 5 players on this team and we still put up numbers like this. That is absolutely ridiculous. Ed Belfour, 4 wins, 1 shot, a 904 and a 514. I can't believe you just did that. Like, this team might really only need 2 lines and 2 defensive pairings, and we'll be able to hoist the Stanley Cup. Shout out to the Vancouver Canucks taking down the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. An all-Canadian matchup, that's unrealistic. Now that might have been one of the most unrealistic Stanley Cup finals I've ever seen, but you know what? What about this season was realistic? We won 4 games with that team right there. We had a forward line, a defensive pairing, and 1 goaltender, and we still found a way to win 4 games. Now that we're adding a player from the Detroit Red Wings, we're definitely going to be winning some more. Now Detroit's one of those teams where I don't even care what position we get. We're adding an elite player. We got a forward from Detroit. I'm pretty sure they have some good forwards. Gordie Howe comes to mind. Steve Yzerman comes to mind. They got Zenberg. They got Datsuk. Yeah, we're getting a great player. The Detroit Red Wings, an original 6 team. Look at all the 90 overall players we can select from, but this is an easy selection for us. We have to go with Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey himself. This is a no-brainer. Now, if this team didn't have enough star power, we just got a bit more with the addition of Gordie Howe. Look at this first line. 95 overall, 96 overall, 93 overall. But what else did we expect? We're adding Hall of Famers to this team. Obviously, we're going to be adding good players. So we finally had our first major trade of the video, and who would have seen this one coming? Vegas somehow clearing up cap space for John Tavares, because that makes so much sense. So we got a bit ahead of ourselves with how successful the team was last season. We have a 2-80 record here. The offense is slowly getting better, but defensively, we're still allowing 6.85 goals per game, so you're not going to win a Stanley Cup with those numbers. So obviously, I'm not going to have an issue with the offensive production here. Gordie Howe, a great season. He's picking up 68 points, 18 of them were goals. When it comes to the goaltending numbers, Ricky Lafleur is the greatest of all time. 1 win. A 0 overall goaltender that was really good stick side. Won a game this season. Bro is a 0 overall, except for his stick high and stick low. Outside of that, this man cannot stop a puck, but somehow he won a game. We've done the impossible. I can't believe a 0 overall goaltender really just won a game. We have only added, what, 6 players to the team? 7 players? There is no reason a 0 overall should be winning with us right now. The Dallas Stars, they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but we're the real winners today. Ricky Lafleur won an NHL game. Now, I have never been more happy for Ricky Lafleur winning in the NHL, and bro had a goals against of over 10, still found a way to win. That shows determination. So Ricky, you were able to win us a game. The real question is, can you win us a Stanley Cup? Because we still have to do that. It looks like we're going to be adding a forward from the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we're going to add from Tampa Bay's alumni, of course. When it comes to great players, you're thinking about Marty St. Louis. You're thinking about Dennis Savard, Brad Richards, Dan Boyle. But of course, Marty St. Louis, you're going to be the highest overall. You're an 85 overall right winger. We need a couple more right wingers for the team, so you're going to be the guy we're acquiring. So we've added a nice piece to the forward core in Marty St. Louis here. We do need to start upgrading the defensive core a bit more. I mean, Larry Robinson and Zdeno Chara, that's a great start. Chara, why are you playing on the right side when you're literally a left defenseman? Larry Robinson, you can play both sides. Not too sure what the game's cooking up here, but you know what? These are the lines we're going to be rocking with, and I think we're going to be looking at a 6-win season. Now, this is certainly a trade I've never seen before. Yeah, I've seen John Tavares get traded a handful of times, but I've never seen him trade over to the Minnesota Wild. That's where he's going to be finishing this season up. Now, the success for Everett's going to continue, a 774-1 win season, and when it comes to that offense, yeah, we might not be scoring a lot of goals, but the big-time players certainly are here. Mario Lemieux, Peter Forsberg, Gordie Howe, and then when we look at Marty St. Louis, he's only picking up 17. Granted, he was alongside 0 overall, and we don't have a second defensive pairing. Our first defensive pairing is more likely playing with the top guys, so Marty St. Louis, he's kind of just left by himself. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. He's going to continue to produce some great results. Ricky Lafleur, you hate to see these numbers right here. You should have had another win. But then what are we really talking about here? Do I really expect that a 0 overall goaltender and Ricky Lafleur is going to be winning a handful of games? Absolutely. I'm expecting him to be our Stanley Cup goaltender once the playoffs come around. So let's get right back to adding players for this team. And of course, we want to land on the St. Louis Blues. Like every player you could select from there is basically a 99 overall. Philadelphia, they got Eric Lindros. He would be a great forward to add to the team. So let's land on the forward position. Eric Lindros, he would be a nice addition to the team. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen here. It looks like we're picking up a defenseman. So what are we going to be getting from Philly's alumni team? Well, we're getting a great defensive defenseman, a former member of the St. Louis Blues, Chris Pronger, 92 overall. You're going to be one of our top defensemen here. High franchise potential, but I don't really care about that potential. I care about your superstar X factor. I care about all those other X factors, and I also care about the fact that you're a 92 overall, so that's going to be nice. So I couldn't tell you what we're cooking up here. All I know is Zdeno Chara, I guess you're going to be a right winger for us, and when it comes to the defense, Larry Robinson and Chris Pronger, you're going to have to carry the way side by side. We're not going to have a second pairing here. I guess we're just going to have 2 great forward lines and 1 great defensive pairing, but maybe we could just potentially outscore our problems and score more goals than we allow. So of course we know Detroit's going to make some big moves at some point. It looks like that time's finally come. Mackenzie Weegar and Blake Coleman, you're both off to the Red Wings, as the Red Wings are giving up two massive prospects in Marco Kasper and Axel Sedin Pelka. So another season comes to an end here in Everett. They're going to be finishing dead last. An 8-72-2 record isn't too bad, but the offense really isn't producing how I thought they would be. Only 130 goals scored here. I thought we would be doing a lot better, especially since we have two forward lines now. The offense is definitely going to be stepping up, but I guess the defense just isn't there yet. I mean, granted, we have a third and fourth line that's still 0 overalls, two defensive pairings that are 0 overalls, and I'm expecting these guys to produce. Of course, that's not going to be happening. When it comes to the save percentages, though, both of these guys have to be better. But Ed Belfour, 2 shutouts, that's definitely a good sign for what's to come. But none of that really means anything if we're still outside the playoffs, and the Boston Bruins, they're going to take home a Stanley Cup here, taking down the Winnipeg Jets. So it doesn't really matter which team we land on. Every team's going to help us a little bit here, but it looks like we're headed to Hartford. That's actually not what I wanted, because we already have Gordie Howe on the team. So immediately, we can't select Hartford's best player, so we're going to have to go for their second best. Hopefully their second best is a defenseman. So it's not like we're going to walk away with a bad player, but we can't select Gordie Howe because we already have him on the team. We can't select Chris Pronger because we already have him on the team. Ron Francis and Shanahan are both forwards, so I guess we're going to walk away with Mark Howe here. Not the end of the world. He's still an 88 overall. He's going to be a great defenseman for us, but we could have gotten 4 players better than him. But I mean, at the end of the day, we got an 88 overall on the team. I can't really complain too much. So with the addition of Mark Howe, we officially have 2 defensive pairings here, and we have no weaknesses in these pairings whatsoever. 3 superstar X factors and 1 player without a superstar X factor, but he's an 88 overall. Like, we're a great team here. Every player we're going to be adding is going to be great, and we're definitely going to be able to win a Stanley Cup with some 0 overalls. I think all we need is 3 forward lines and 3 defensive pairings, and if we have some 0 overalls down here, we can still win. So I could care less about what the team did this season. We're dead last, but there is one thing I do care about. That's Mario Lemieux's production this season. The first player we're going to see above a point a game here. 46 goals, 46 helpers, 92 points here. The offense was certainly producing. Well, the top line was certainly producing. No question about that. All 3 of these guys look absolutely fantastic here. The second line, we're not really going to talk about as much. And the goaltending, we're not really going to talk about that either. But Ed Belfour, I'll definitely take a 9-10. So the team's slowly working their way to making themselves competitive. But you know what? I don't think it's going to be enough until we have 3 forward lines and 3 defensive pairings. The Toronto Maple Leafs are winning the Stanley Cup. Let's get out of this simulation. I don't want to witness the Leafs winning a Stanley Cup. But maybe I do now, because Craig Berube is their head coach. And if anyone can fix that team, it's going to be Craig Berube. Now, granted, I actually don't think Craig Berube is the coach for the Maple Leafs, because I just feel like the players they have right now and him as a head coach, that's not going to mesh very well. The Montreal Canadiens are a very historic franchise, so they've got historic players, and we're going to bring some to the team. I don't really know why I said we're going to bring some to the team. We're only selecting 1 player here, and it looks like it's going to be a forward. Which of the greats from Montreal are we going to be selecting? Now, normally if we were to land on the Montreal Canadiens, I wouldn't be the happiest, because we wouldn't bring any 90 overalls to the team. However, we're selecting from their alumni, Jean Beliveau and Maurice Rocket Richard. Which of these 2 guys are we going to be selecting? Honestly, I think we're going to go with Maurice Rocket Richard here, 94 overall sniper, and I kind of want a sniper on the team over a playmaker. Then again, we don't have any playmakers yet, so I think we actually go with Beliveau because we need one. I mean, technically we do have a playmaker. We got Martin St. Louis on the team, but you know what? You need more than 1 playmaker. So Jean Beliveau is going to be joined the team here, and we officially have 2 forward lines that aren't going to consist of any defensemen. Meanwhile, the defense, that's looking incredible as well. 2 complete lines here. I think this team's going to be looking at potentially 15, maybe even 20 wins this season. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know why I gassed up this team as much as I did, thinking we were going to be potentially a 20-win team. We were an 11-win team. Yeah, that's a lot of progression for this team, but let's face facts. We literally only have 2 forward lines and 2 defensive pairings. Why did I think this team would see a bunch of success? But I mean, Mario Lemieux saw a ton of success this season. 92 points here, 48 goals, 44 helpers. Gordie Howe is looking great. Peter Forsberg's looking great. Jean Beliveau in his first season with the team, he had 69 points. And when it comes to the goaltending, Ed Belfour, if you put up some better numbers, we probably would have had 15 wins. And 897 is just not going to cut it. But now we have 2 forward lines. We have 2 defensive pairings. We have a great goaltender. This team's only a few players away from hoisting the Stanley Cup, so let's continue to spin the alumni wheel. So who's the next Hall of Famer that we're going to be adding to the team? Hopefully we land on a really good team with a ton of great players. The Minnesota Wild unfortunately aren't that. So I really don't think the Minnesota Wild have that great of an alumni team, so it doesn't really matter what we land on here. We're picking up a forward. I mean, it's not going to make the team worse, but it's not going to make us significantly better. Now I'm going to be honest, I'm not really too sure what the Minnesota Wild has to offer here, but I'm assuming it's not really too much. Owen Nolan is going to be the best player at an 86 overall. Oh boy. Also, Charlie Coyle was the 5th 5th highest overall on this team at an 85. That says a lot about this team right here. I mean, granted, the Alumni Team is really stupid because Charlie Coyle is still an active player. Mikael Granlund is still an active player. So I'm not really too sure why both of these guys are on the Alumni Team, but a guy like Kirill Kaprizov can't be. Like, make it make sense sometimes. Granted, Kirill Kaprizov hasn't really been there that long in the grand scheme of things, but even still, you get the point I'm trying to make. So Owen Nolan might not be a superstar player, but he's going to be a good enough player for our third line here. An 86 overall, he's got 2 X factors. He's going to be a great start for the bottom 6. Now, I set very high expectations for the team last season. They didn't exceed them, but this season, the team's looking phenomenal. A 21-56-5 record. We don't have a bottom 6 here, and we don't have a third pairing defense, but yet we're finding a way to pick up 20 wins. And on top of this incredible season, Mario Lemieux, what are you up to? Only 108 points, only 67 goals and 41 helpers. Gordie Howe only picking up 43 points here. Yeah, so the first line's incredible. The top 6 here is great. We just need to fix that defense a little bit. Meanwhile, when it comes to Ed Belfour, I don't really care about your numbers because Ricky Lafleur is picking up 2 wins. So when Ricky Lafleur is succeeding, this team's succeeding. But you know what? It's not going to be enough for us to make the playoffs, and the LA Kings, they're going to go on to win the Stanley Cup. So let's head over to the alumni wheel and see what we're going to be selecting next. It looks like we're selecting a player from the Buffalo Sabres. Now, this has the potential to be an incredible selection for us. Now, although we do have a great goaltender right now, I wouldn't mind picking up a backup goaltender in this instance, but you know what? I guess I can survive with a forward. Now, the reason I want to land on the goaltender position is so we can bring Dominik Hasek to the team here. But Dale Hawerchuk, I'm definitely not going to complain about that. A 91 overall sniper, a great player for the Buffalo Sabres. He's now joined the Everett Elks. So Dale Hawerchuk's going to be jumping into the top 6 here, and that's looking absolutely fantastic. We almost have a third line here, and once we do have a third line and fill out the last defensive pairing, we're definitely going to be competing for a Stanley Cup. We can live with 0 overalls in the 4th line. Now, we're not spending too much time talking about this season. An absolute disaster, only 22 wins. I was expecting this team to be a lot better. Mario Lemieux, a massive step back here. He's not even a 100-point scorer. He's not even a 90-point scorer for us. 88 points. John Belvo, he's picking up 83 here. What happened to the great team that we had here? Ricky Lafleur, he's doing absolutely everything he can. Ed Belfour, you need to step it up. When it comes to the postseason, we're going to see the New York Rangers taking home the Stanley Cup, but a season like this should never happen again. This team should be at the top of the league. Like, it's not like we have any weaknesses whatsoever. We definitely don't have 0 overall players on this team. Okay, Chicago, don't do me dirty here. Okay, I don't even know why I'm expecting to get a bad player from the Chicago Blackhawks. No matter what we land on here, we're getting a Hall of Famer. It looks like we're adding another Hall of Fame forward to the team. Also, now that I'm looking at this wheel, I think we have too many forward spots left. There's 5 forward spots, but we can only add 3 more after this selection here. We just need to fill out our 4th line. So yeah, let me fix that. So the Chicago Blackhawks, what do you have in store for us? Well, not too much, just Jeremy Roenick. I mean, 90 overall player. He's got some X factors. He's good enough to play on this team, I guess. So the Everett Elks have one of the greatest top 9s of all time. I mean, this is the greatest top 9 of all time. You're not going to find a team better than this offensively. Yeah, we have a bad 4th line, but we're not going to worry about that. Once we fill out this 3rd defensive pairing, you already know we're bringing home a Stanley Cup. I've mentioned it 9 million times so far, but all we need is 2 more defensemen, and the Everett Elks are taking a Stanley Cup home. Yeah, so I think it's about time that we realize Stick on the Ice has been running his mouth way too much. The Boston Bruins, they won the Stanley Cup. We won 21 games this season. Last season, I think we won 22, so we were actually worse after adding Jeremy Roenick to the team. Not really too sure how that works. Offensively, we're not a bad team by any means. Defensively, we can't stop the puck to save our lives. Gordie Howe is going to lead the team with only 82 points here. Definitely not a great sign. Mario Lemieux, what are you doing? This ain't it, plain and simple. Goaltending numbers, this ain't it. I mean, Ricky Lafleur is picking up 2 wins, but these numbers right here, absolutely atrocious. So what's it going to take for us to win a Stanley Cup? I think it's actually going to take more than just a 3rd defensive pairing. I think we actually need 4 solid lines we can run. Also, I just want to point out the Vancouver Canucks lost to the Boston Bruins. That's a tough way to go out. So let's go ahead and spin the NHL alumni wheel once again here and add another player. It looks like we're off to the Vancouver Canucks, the team that just lost in the Stanley Cup final to the Boston Bruins. So what position are we going to be adding? I don't think it really matters here. I would like a defenseman, and it looks like a defenseman is exactly what we're going to be adding. So the Vancouver Canucks, what does your alumni team have in store when it comes to defensemen? Are we going to be adding any superstars here? Oh boy, no we are not. Mitchell is going to be the best player available. Willie Mitchell, 84 overall. No way that is the best player on your alumni team when it comes to defensemen. I guess it is. That is a tough selection. I actually wish we got anything but a defenseman. We would have been better off basically with anything else. Now, I don't believe that Willie Mitchell is going to be the answer here, especially since he's only an 84 overall. I did not think we were going to be getting an 84 overall player today. I was thinking it was going to be like 88 overalls and above. But you know what, Willie? You're one of the best defensemen to ever play for the Vancouver Canucks, so I guess we're adding you to the team. I'm actually very curious on what your stats are. Okay, I can't even look at them. But yeah, shout out to Willie Mitchell. Not too familiar with this game. So it might have finally happened. This might be the season where we're not dead last in the entire NHL, second last here, a 33, 42, and 7 record. The offense is absolutely flying, 3.28 goals per game. The only problem is our defense right now. One more defenseman might make the difference. I mean, granted, when you do get to the postseason, it's probably not ideal if your fourth line consists of 0 overall players, but if you can outscore your problems, then we might be okay here, and that's certainly what we did this season. When it comes to the goaltending numbers, what are they going to be looking like? Ed Belfour, 31 wins here, 2 shouts, a 905 and a 346. When it comes to the backup goaltender, Ricky Lafleur did everything he could. Wouldn't that be something if we somehow won with Ricky Lafleur as our backup? That might be a side challenge right now. I might remove goaltender from the positions wheel here, and from here on out, we're just going to pick up forwards and defensemen. Ricky Lafleur is picking up a cup with this team. Also, shout out to the Dallas Stars. They're beating the Toronto Maple Leafs, and once again, Toronto's losing in the Stanley Cup final. That's happened a few times in the video so far. So the rules have changed a little bit here. Only forwards and defensemen are being added from here on out. The Minnesota North Stars, they could potentially give us a great forward. Mike Modano, I know you're an option. So there's a 75% chance that we're going to land on a forward position here. So more than likely that's going to happen. Just kidding, we're adding a defenseman. But at the end of the day, we kind of needed a defenseman. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to get Mike Modano here, and I honestly thought that was going to happen considering what the odds were. But you know what? We're walking away with Larry Murphy. That's not a bad selection here. 89 overall. He's going to round out the defense, and we might be able to sneak into the playoffs now. We have a great defensive core. We can score goals, that's for sure. But the defense was our main problem, and now that's solved. So from here on out, this is what the defense is going to look like. Larry Robinson, Chris Pronger, Larry Murphy, Zdeno Chara, Mark Howe, Willie Mitchell. That's a really strong defense right there. The only weak spot, of course, is the third pairing with Willie Mitchell. But you know what? We're going to get this man a Stanley Cup. When it comes to the forward core, we already know what that's all about. We score goals here. When it comes to the goaltending, Ricky Lafleur, you're the true savior of this team. Now, for the longest time, when I was saying all we need is a third pairing, we'll be able to compete, I thought I was lying. Yeah, it turns out we're 6th in the entire league when we have a third pairing. We don't need a fourth line. This team can win without one. We're outscoring a majority of our problems here, and who's helping lead the way there? Of course, it's Mario Lemieux, 107 points. Gordie Howe's got 101. John Belvo, he's got 89 here. This team's looking elite, and the goaltending numbers from Ed Belfour, bro, if you can hold it down for 16 wins, we're bringing home a Stanley Cup. And Ricky Lafleur, he's also going to be taking one home. But this man had a 9-8-2 record, 0 overall. Ricky Lafleur, 9 wins. Bro did the impossible. Now, we should be able to get out of the first round because we have the easiest first round matchup imaginable, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're going back and forth with the Toronto Maple Leafs here, and honestly, this shouldn't be happening. We are an elite team, but if I'm being completely honest, we don't have a fourth line, so Toronto, you probably should beat us. However, in the games we score goals, it's easy for us to win. So in Game 7, we better score some goals. So here we go, Game 7. All we have to do is score some goals, and we'll be able to win this game. We've scored a couple here, but so is Toronto. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period. What's going to be happening? Unfortunately, we're going to be dropping this one 4-3. We really lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. Granted, we also didn't have a fourth line. I'm going to use that as my excuse. Offensively, Peter Forsberg, he was fantastic. But when push came to shove, our fourth line just didn't step up. Granted, it was 0 overall, so what can I really expect? So we might have lost in the first round, but the one thing that we have to note, we made it to the first round. That means we made the playoffs. We were a pretty solid team, and we're about to get even better with this next selection. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel here. Who are we going to be adding from next? The Anaheim Ducks, and you already know we're getting a forward. Teemu Selanne, welcome to the team. So it's clear who we're going to be adding to the team here. No doubt about it. Teemu Selanne, 93 overall. He's going to be one of the best players on this team, and he's going to help us win a Stanley Cup this season, because I can guarantee you we're going to be winning one. Now, we were able to make it into the postseason by only having 3 forward lines. Well, now we have 3 forward lines and a 4th line center. That's going to be the difference for us. Owen Nolan, he's going to help carry the way on the 4th line. Well, Teemu Selanne, he's going to play some big minutes on that first line. Him, Mario Lemieux, and Gordie Howe, nobody's going to be able to stop the big 3. So our big 3 was so good this season, we're we're top 3, third in the entire league, a 50, 28, and 4 record. It's time for the Everett Elks to bring home the Stanley Cup. After years and years of waiting, this season's the time to do it. Mario Lemieux is the centerpiece of this team, and it should be no surprise he's going to lead the way. But the one thing that is surprising, Teemu Selanne being below a point a game here, 79 points. I'm expecting more from you. You better step up in the postseason when it matters. Meanwhile, Ed Belfour, yeah, you can definitely win a Stanley Cup with these numbers right here. No doubt about it. With Ed Belfour playing this good, with the offense flying the way it is, there's no question about it. The Everett Elks are the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. And the goaltending is looking absolutely fantastic so far. Belfour's already picked up 2 shutouts. Can he pick up a third in game number 5 here? Wow, he actually did. Okay, we won this game 6-0, won this one 5-0, won this one 4-0. Bro's really going to have a save percentage of a 980. Like, this right here is wild. 3 shutouts, a 970, and a 093. He has a goals against below 1. Yeah, so if you keep this up, I think we'll win a Stanley Cup. And I think that goaltending success is going to continue into the second round. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not afraid of this team. Now, we might not be as dominant defensively, but you know what? We still have a 3-1 series lead. And if we can close out in game 5, that's going to be fantastic. We're picking up 5 in that one, and we're off to the conference finals. With the way the Everett Elks are playing right now, there is no reason why we shouldn't make the Stanley Cup final. And I really want to take on the Chicago Blackhawks, because that is the 2024 Chicago Blackhawks. How that team's made to the conference finals, I have absolutely no clue, but I want to take them on the final because I just think it would be really funny. But unfortunately, the big time players aren't showing up when it matters most here. We're in the conference finals and we're now down 3-1 in this series. We got to spark a massive comeback. We allowed 6 goals in game number 5. What happened to the great defense we had? Meanwhile, Chicago got swept. That team was a bunch of frauds. Now, plain and simple, we folded when it mattered most. We should have won a Stanley Cup this season, but what really held us back was those 0 overalls we had on the 4th line. We're about to replace one of those 0 overalls with a Hall of Famer, and I think that's going to be the difference for us when it comes to winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, granted, we should have won this season. The team just choked, plain and simple. Okay, I take back everything I just said there. It's not actually the 0 overall players holding us back. It's actually the bottom 6. Like, all of these guys down here, absolutely abysmal. The top players showed out. Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, they look great. Even Teemu Selanne looked great. Everyone else kind of sucked. Plain and simple, you guys did not perform. Ed Belfour, you were great in the first series. I mean, you were pretty solid after that. When push came to shove, the team didn't show up in front of you. So we got to add 2 more forwards to the team here, but we're just going to be adding one with this spin right here, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I know for a fact that's a very weak alumni. So just think about all the teams that were remaining that we could have selected from. And then we look at Columbus's alumni. Rick Nash is the best option. He's an 88 overall. I'm not disrespecting Rick Nash in the slightest here, but considering that another option available here was Wayne Gretzky if we landed on the St. Louis Blues or the New York Rangers or the Edmonton Oilers, I would have been a bit happier. But Rick Nash, hey, you're going to help the team here. You're just not Wayne Gretzky. So this team's going to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, we got a 0 overall here, but who cares? Look how good our team is. The backup goaltender, he's Ricky Lafleur. He brings a lot of intangibles to the team, and you can't even measure those. So the addition of Rick Nash, I guess, is the missing piece because we've finally done it. First in the entire league, scoring over 4 goals per game. Our defense is one of the best in the entire NHL with a 0 overall here. Everett, you better not choke. Like, seriously, what else does this team need? We're basically perfect across the board here. When it comes to the goaltending, that's absolutely fantastic. Even Ricky Lafleur is putting up good enough numbers. An 871 and a 408, and we're still winning games with him. Ed Belfour, you should sweep the postseason. And it starts right here. The Buffalo Sabres, they're going to be a tough matchup for us, but we're certainly better than this team. No question about it. So I guess we won't be sweeping the postseason, but we're going to go 16-1 after we close this series out in 5 games. So we've moved on to the second round, but now we have the toughest matchup ever. We're taking on the Florida Panthers. They were able to eliminate us last time these two teams faced off, but you know what? Things are different this time around. We got Rick Nash on the team. Now the Florida Panthers, they just can't crack it with us. The Everett Elks are on a different tier. Not only did we sweep this team, 5 goals, 6 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals, they couldn't even compete with us. Now I have nothing to say about this matchup right here. Yeah, the New York Rangers are a great team, but they're also a 39 win team right now. So if we're losing to a 39 win team in the conference finals, I'm going to have some issues. So after winning the first 2 games of the series, we got shut out in back-to-back games. This team has gone 2 games without scoring a goal. What's going on here? Okay, what's going on? We have a high-flying offense, and all of a sudden, we're not scoring goals. We scored 3 goals in 4 games here. We dominated the first 2 games, scoring 10 goals combined, and then we proceeded to pick up 3 goals in our next 4. That didn't just happen. So we're not even finishing the season. I don't care what just happened. Give me the Edmonton Oilers, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're not giving me Wayne Gretzky. Edmonton would have though. So that's back-to-back seasons now where we should have been Stanley Cup champions. Toronto, you're giving me Matt Sedin. Our forward core is complete here. He's the final piece we're going to be adding. We have to win. If we don't win this season, we're bringing in a different backup goaltender. But Ricky Lafleur, we got to win a Stanley Cup with you. So the forward core is finally complete here. Mario Lemieux, Teemu Selanne, Gordie Howe on the first line, Martin St. Louis, Jean Beliveau, Peter Forsberg on the second, Dale Hawerchuk, Matt Sedin, Jeremy Roenick on the third line. And then we got Owen, Joe, and Rick on the fourth line. They're going to round out the core here. Defensively, the team's fantastic. Larry Robinson, Chris Pronger, Larry Murphy, Zdeno Chara, Mark Howe, Willie Mitchell, and then in between the pipes, two of the greatest of all time, we got Ed Belfour, and we also got Ricky Lafleur. If this team's not going 82-0, I don't know what team could. Okay, so the Everett Elks were only first by 1 point here. Carolina had 114, Vancouver had 113, we had 115. This is way closer than it should have been. Our offense is unstoppable. Our defense isn't good. That makes no sense. That honestly makes no sense. Then again, what was Ricky Lafleur's goaltending numbers? Because that definitely skews the averages here. What was he posting? An 832 and a 475, and he only had 8 wins this season. Yeah, bro was not locked in, to say the least. But you know what? All of that can change right now. Give me 16 solid games and we're bringing home a Stanley Cup. And you know what? I'm so confident with a performance like this. We're simulating the entire postseason in one take. It's probably going to take multiple takes here because I'm going to screw up at some point. But you know what? We swept the Detroit Red Wings, and who are we going to be sweeping next? It looks like it's going to be the Boston Bruins. So let's get this series over with real quick in 4 games. Game 1's a victory. Yeah, it's a sweep here. Moving on to the conference finals. This team's perfect so far. 8-0 in the postseason, but now we have the Rangers. The Rangers have beat us on multiple occasions, but that's changing right now. Are we going to take this team down in a sweep? No, we are not. Okay, we lost these 2 games right here. That's definitely not a good look for us, but we're about to win 3 straight after that. Okay, what are we doing here? We're not losing to the Rangers again. Please do not choke. We need game 7. So after back-to-back sweeps, we're off to game 7. What's going to be happening here? We're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, we're exchanging goals once again. We need to light the lamp in the third period. We really lost this game. We lost this game. Rempe ended up picking up the game winner. That really just happened. You know what? I'm really upset with the outcome here. I almost want to run it back with the exact same team. We're going to spin the wheel again. Whatever team I land on, I can pick whatever player I want. We're not taking a goaltender though. We do not need a goaltender. Ed Belfour is the goaltender for this team. Ricky Lafleur needs to win a Stanley Cup here. The New York Rangers, are they choking a 3-1 series lead? No, they're not. They're winning the Stanley Cup. All right, who are we adding next? At this point, I'm embracing the fact that Ricky Lafleur needs to be one of our goaltenders. The New Jersey Devils, we could get Marty Brodeur though. Like, hear me out. Ricky Lafleur, you're a great player and all, but we could get Marty Brodeur. So let's just take a quick look at the Devils. What do they have to offer here? I mean, we can select whatever player we want. Do we want to take a goaltender? Like, Marty Brodeur would be elite for us. Scott Niedermayer would help the defense a lot though. Yeah, I think this is going to be the selection. That means we're going to have to take out one of our defensemen, but you know what? We already know who it's going to be. Willie Mitchell, you're sent to the bench, my guy. You're going to be a healthy scratch for us. Scott Niedermayer, it's time for you to lead the defense. So Scott Niedermayer is going to be joining the defense here. He's going to be one of our better defensemen. The lowest overall in this defense right now is Mark Howard, an 88 overall. We should have absolutely no issue stopping the puck. Ed Belfour, you should probably have a goals against below 2. Okay, this has to be a joke. 3rd in the entire league. We do know who's on the Everett Elks, right? We do know it's full of all Hall of Famers. Every player here is a legend. Larry Robinson, you were really -5. I don't even know how that happens. The goaltending number is kind of mid here. Yeah, I don't know what happened this season. We got the Leafs in the first round. It's one take. We're simulating the entire postseason. There is no reason that we should lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be first in the entire NHL. Okay, we split the series with Toronto. That should not be happening here. Game 6 is going to be a big one. Who's winning this one? Bro, we're really off to game 7. So Toronto, by the way, is a 38-win team. I just want to emphasize that before we get into this matchup. If we lose, we're losing to a 38-win team. We're scoring goals in the first period. We got this series locked down. We're going to be winning this one 7-0. But yeah, we should not have gone to game 7. So we're moving on to the second round. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I don't care about the Tampa Bay Lightning. I am very concerned that the New York Rangers are going to match up against us in the conference finals, and that's definitely not going to go our way. Please do not be the New York Rangers. It's the New Jersey Devils. We can beat the Devils, no question about that. We could probably sweep this team. Okay, we split the series with them. Game 5 is going to be a massive one. Who's winning that one? Of course, we're going to be losing. We have to win game 6 and game 7. We won game 6. We're off to game 7. So when it comes to the actual standings, I believe the Devils were actually a better team than us, and this game's going to be decided by the third period. We lost because of John Marino. Ain't no way that just happened. So at this point, it is very clear what this team needs. Wayne Gretzky. Give me Wayne Gretzky. Get to the Rangers. We got Wayne Gretzky. Also, I'm going to mention right now, I'm not going to show you the process of me adding Wayne Gretzky to the team. He's joined this team. He's going to lead the Everett Elks to greatness, because Mario Lemieux, I don't think you can be the guy to do it. Also, who's winning the Stanley Cup here? I do want to see that. The Colorado Avalanche. I'm kind of happy it's not the Devils. So Wayne Gretzky, the greatest player of all time, the GOAT among GOATs. Prove that you're the greatest player of all time and win a Stanley Cup with the Everett Elks. Okay, all you need to know is we had a 49-22-11 record. We didn't even win our division here, and in our last 10 games we were 3-5-2. I don't care what the scoring on this team looked like. I don't care where we finished in the standings. We finished 3-5-2 to finish out the year, under 500 to finish out the season. That makes zero sense. We're sweeping the Boston Bruins though. Like seriously, how is this team under 500 to finish out the year when we're full of legends? We lost the first 3 games of this series. We're losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning unless we complete the greatest comeback of all time out in the second round. Wayne Gretzky, you weren't enough. Like seriously, how does this happen? We had 3 100-point scorers on the team, still couldn't see enough success. When it comes to goaltending, Ed Belfour, you should be good enough to win a Stanley Cup. I don't know why you're not, but you should be. Ricky Lafleur, I still want to get you that Stanley Cup. I haven't given up on you yet. The Tampa Bay Lightning were great. We were 3rd in the entire league, but we're not winning a Stanley Cup, and that's what this video is all about, winning the Everett Elks a Stanley Cup. Now, I'm a very reasonable man, but at some point, you just have to give up. The Boston Bruins, Bobby Orr, you're probably going to be joining the team here. We don't necessarily need another defenseman, but our forward core is already good enough. I mean, it should be, but we clearly didn't score against the Tampa Bay Lightning, so maybe it's not good enough. I mean, if we're being completely honest though, our record isn't an indication of how good we are, because we do have Ricky Lafleur as one of our goaltenders right now, and let's face it, he only wins about 50% of his starts, so I mean, that's a lot of games that we're not taking home. Bobby Orr, you're 97 overall. We're bringing you to the team, no question about it. I didn't realize you were 97 overall. I thought you were only a 95, but you're tied with Wayne Gretzky for the best in the game here. I'll leave it at that. Okay, what is this? What am I looking at right now? Jordan NHL. Why is he all of a sudden on this team? It should be Ricky Lafleur, and we all know this. Hold on, we got to make some adjustments here. The fact that this team is willing to send a guy like Ricky Lafleur to the bench is absolutely unacceptable. Joe NHL, I'm sending you down to the AHL. That's where you deserve to be. Bobby Orr, you're going to be joining the defense here. But the fact that this team even considered having Ricky Lafleur as a healthy scratch, I'm actually cheering against the Everett Elks this season. I want this team to lose just because of that. So Everett, you're 1st in the entire league. I think we all knew this was going to happen. Wayne Gretzky, 115 points. The Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. That's all that matters. Actually, none of that matters. I don't know what I'm talking about. All that matters is you win a Stanley Cup. That's the goal. Like Wayne Gretzky, for all I care, could have had 175 points this season. Okay, we dominated Toronto. Yeah, we're winning a Stanley Cup this season. But now we have our biggest ops in the second round, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I need to destroy this team in every single game. We split the series with them. Ain't no way. Oh, we actually won Game 5. I am very surprised at that. This is more realistic, though. Us losing in Game 6. Like at this point, I'm actually giving up with the Everett Elks. We are full of Hall of Famers, almost all 90 overalls, and we can't get past the Tampa Bay Lightning. The third period is going to decide this game. Okay, we actually showed up here. We're off to the conference finals. So we actually might win a Stanley Cup here if we don't completely choke. The Carolina Hurricanes have a 3-1 series lead. That really happened. Okay, we got to make a big comeback here. I don't think it's going to happen though, but we are off to Game 7. Like, I just don't believe in this team anymore. Like, every single matchup, I feel like we have to be the underdog, even though we were 1st in the entire league and we're full of Hall of Famers. The first period, we're going to be taking that one. Seth Jarvis scored for Carolina, but we have a 2-1 lead. In the second period, we still have the lead here. Carolina took the lead at one point, but we're scoring back-to-back goals here. Can we close it out in the third? This is a joke. Like, this has to be a joke. That really just happened. One more season. I'm giving this team one last try at winning a Stanley Cup. It all comes down to this. One final spin. And you know what? Since it's the final season, we are going to do something very stupid here, and I'm kind of breaking the rules. But who are we going to be adding to the team? Patrick Waugh. Who else are we going to be adding to the team? Mark Messier. So 2 of the highest overalls in this game. Both of these guys are going to join the team here. One final shot at a Stanley Cup. So this is our final chance at a Stanley Cup. Offensively, we can score goals. Defensively, we're the best in the entire league. And the goaltending tandem, I'm sorry to say, but Ricky Lafleur, you will not be hoisting a Stanley Cup with the team. Patrick Waugh, you're going to be the starting goaltender. Can you save the Everett Elks? Someone has to. So our final shot is Stanley Cup. The Everett Elks, a 64-14-4 record, didn't even break the win record. The offense is great. The defense is great. Of course, Wayne Gretzky, he's leading the way, 122 points here. The scoring was off the charts. I have no issue with that. The goaltending numbers, I'm not going to lie, I'm expecting at least 920s from both of these guys. They weren't able to do that, but you know what? If you can win in the postseason, that's when it matters. The Detroit Red Wings in the first round, Patrick Waugh, win 16 games. So it all comes down to this one final postseason. We need to win 16 games. We won the first 3. We're dropping game 4, but we're going to respond in game 5. The Red Wings are down, 12 more games to go. So we've moved on to the second round, and who are we going to have to match up against? It's going to be the Florida Panthers. Ideally, we take this team down in a sweep. It's not going to be a sweep, but we dominated from start to finish. Can we close this series out? Yes, we can. We're off to the conference finals. And this is the team I want to take on, the Carolina Hurricanes. We have a chance to close this out. Close out the Eastern Conference, because we still have one more matchup after this. We have a 3-1 series lead. Win in Game 5 and make it to the Stanley Cup final. It all comes down to this one final matchup, the Dallas Stars. We have to win 4 games against this team, and that's exactly what we're doing. 4 straight games, and we're Stanley Cup champions. We finally won a Stanley Cup here. Of course, Mark Messier led the way here. Honestly, I feel like we cheated. Mark Messier is leading the way, and then when it comes to goaltending, Patrick Waugh leading the way. Did we cheat during this postseason run? I think we did a little bit. 16-1-2. We wouldn't have won without Patrick Waugh. We're probably not winning without Mark Messier. But you know what? I don't think this team was going to win any other way. This was the final chance for us to win a Stanley Cup. Ricky Lafleur, you weren't able to win one with the team. But you know what? That's not your fault. I don't know why this team couldn't see success earlier, but you know what? It's just the way she goes.